Alec, welcome. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
Yeah, it's going to be great. This is the last
Yeah,
stop on our little season of giving
it is.
where we
This will
each
probably.
pick two movies
Mhm.
and for the other one that hasn't seen it to watch it for the first time. That was a really good way of phrasing that. Um,
Yeah.
one of us has seen this movie and one of us has not seen this movie.
Yes.
This time around, it's one that I picked out. Previously, we did Howl's Moving Castle, Hateful Eight,
Hmm.
The Princess Bride. All right, and
Yep.
then this should be like our little bookend for December here. Probably one of the last videos in the month. So
Yeah. Happy New Year to everybody as well. We're recording this before, like, 2 days before Christmas. So,
it
but
should be posted before then, though. The
yeah,
goal is
but
to have it
but
posted
Happy
in
New Year to
December.
everyone if you're watching this.
Happy
May
New
May
Year if
May
you're
20.
watching in
May,
2022.
yeah, indeed.
Also,
Well, May. Yes, that too, and also May 2021 be a much better year.
hmm
Says everyone about this year. Um,
all right. So today we're talking about Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. All
Nice.
right.
He's got the Blu-ray here. Oh, by the way, so this is according to what I was reading, it is leaving Netflix on December 31st.
Oh, it works out then.
Yeah, so it was a good thing that we watched it because I don't know where it's going. I don't know if it's going to
Where are
like
you going?
HBO Max or whatever,
Yeah.
So
All right.
worked out pretty well.
So I love this movie, but I want to hear what
Yeah.
your thoughts are.
Um, this movie was excellent. I cried several times. Um,
Love to hear that.
it's yeah, it's definitely so. Okay, so last night we had a couple of friends over from the area, and we typically been doing movie nights every once in a while with them. You know, not doing it all super like one right after the other because COVID being a thing, but using precaution and all that stuff. But we had a movie night last night, and I offered this as a suggestion. I was like, I have to watch this for the channel, and like one of the guys was like, yeah, I've seen. Well, only one of the other guys has seen it. He's like, yeah, I've seen it, and it's really great. But it's also really kind of sad, and it might not be like the most exciting movie. And I was like, what are you afraid we're all gonna cry? We're all gonna be
Just all
men
come
crying
together
in a
and cry
basement?
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, it's just like I just it was like it's either that or I don't even remember the movie we watched. It was something about like is it the Mel Gibson Santa movie? And it was one of the most weird. It was bizarre. It was such a strange movie, but
Mhm.
so I was gonna watch it after that last night, and then I ended up falling asleep. So
Oh yeah,
that didn't
that's the
happen.
one they had that trailer about. Yeah, I didn't know it had come out.
Fat Man. It was called Fat
Fat
Man.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very weird. But this is not about Fat Man. This is about Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and so I just watched it, like literally like finished it maybe like 15 minutes ago. Um, what an excellent film. It's like it's almost hard to really parse out. So we are going to be getting into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film, first impressions, I loved it. I highly recommend you see it. Much like our sort of like stumble discovery into uh,
Extremely wicked, shockingly evil,
no,
vile.
no, no, don't bring that up when I'm talking about something that's far
Goodwill
better.
Hunting.
Goodwill Hunting, or
Uh,
stumbling into Goodwill Hunting. Much like that, I think it's a very significant film, and it's one that you should watch.
yeah.
I think it's very prescient. I feel like a lot of people can easily relate to this movie. I know I could relate to this movie, and that was why it hurt so much in a good way. And it was oh wow, the cast is great. You've got like a younger, well, everybody's younger, obviously, because it was in 2004. But you've got Mark Ruffalo is in this movie. Elijah Wood is in this movie. Was this the first movie post Lord of the Rings? I don't know.
Love his character.
Yeah, love that guy. Kirsten Dunst,
Yeah.
fresh off of the first Spider-Man. No, she was in Spider-Man 2 the same year. And Kate Winslet, gorgeous as ever.
Yeah,
She's
well,
great in this film.
see, I love
Um,
both like Jim
Jim
Carrey.
Carrey. Jim Carrey
Like,
in a great dramatic
yeah,
role.
this is like the most unlike Jim Carrey role, and it's probably my favorite Jim Carrey movie.
So there's also there was a span in like the late '90s, early 2000s where he was really trying to get out of the comedy thing,
Mm-hmm.
and he was really sort of leaning hard into a more dramatic role. There was a movie, The Majestic, that I enjoyed. I don't think it's very. I don't remember much about it. I watched it when I was probably like 10 or 11. I remember enjoying it. I probably, if I went back and watched it now, I wouldn't think it was that interesting or that good. But I remember enjoying it. I thought he did a really good job. But this is, yeah. I mean, he's stellar in this. Like, absolutely phenomenal. Because he's kind of an understated character, in some sense. So okay. So basic premise. Before we get super into spoilers, that was more or less a story about a breakup, and I guess the high concept of the film is that there's a technology that allows people to erase. It's like a medical procedure you can undergo to erase people from your memories and your lives, more or less. So his ex-girlfriend undergoes this procedure, and so then he decides to do the exact same thing. So that's the general premise of the film. So now we're getting into spoilers. I highly recommend watching it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
There's so much here, dude.
there's so much. There's like too much.
Especially if you're watching it for the first time, it's like a lot to
Yeah.
process.
I can't wait to. I look forward to watching this movie again.
This is, like, I've only watched it. This is my second time now,
Mhm.
and it definitely benefits from it because, like, it reframes the whole movie watching it back because the beginning scene isn't really where they first met,
Yeah.
and you get to, if you
Yeah.
look back and watch it knowing all that, it makes it really interesting all the little details they add in there.
Yeah, because it makes it seem like that's when they freak. Because that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Also, really tripped out by how long the beginning of the movie was. Also,
Hmm.
like you don't get credits until like 15 20 minutes into the movie,
Right, yeah.
which was bizarre. So it was a very long introduction. And in which part you only interact with Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet's characters. So what I would probably say is the most. It's the only shot of the film that I've really seen. Well, there's actually a couple. There's the bed on the beach. I've seen that before, but the other iconic shot is the one of them on the Charles River,
Mm-hmm.
frozen over,
Yeah,
which is just such an amazing shot for so many different reasons.
yeah,
There's the fracture of the ice is really signifying of not just the fracture that in the relationship that's going to be happening, but as you go through the movie and it's like him going through his memories, you realize that like it's almost like the fracture, like the bits and pieces in between your skull. You know how you have like modified, or not modified, but you've got like different areas on the skull that are segmented, the different segments. That I don't know, maybe I was reading too much into that,
Mm-hmm.
but I was almost kind of getting that sort of vibe from it, especially because the color is very like a muted sort of grayish white.
and it's a
So
great just shot composition in general because it's
oh
like
yeah,
them looking up at the
beautiful,
stars and you're
beautiful.
looking
Yeah,
down
it's
on them.
it's offset. They're like, yeah, it's just an absolutely beautiful shot. So yeah, it's interesting because like you see the relationship going backwards. So you see it in such an, as the memories of his start to wipe away, it's like he's experiencing them all over again, and he's like present for all of them again.
Yeah, it's almost like hopping through memories, haunting a blind manor esque.
yeah, and it's like doing it in a way that like for initially it seems like he's really like good. We need to get rid of these memories, and then all of a sudden he starts entering memories that he doesn't want to give up. He's like, no, let me keep that one, and then it just boom gets taken away from him. So about midway through the film, he starts like really being like, I don't want this anymore. This was a mistake. Like I need these memories still. So meanwhile, in the real world, not in just his mind, but so the lab assistants are bungling everything basically.
So disrespectful.
They're so bad.
little
It's so
shits.
terrible. Oh my gosh, they're terrible. They're all horrible
They're
people.
drinking. They're smoking.
They're smoking
Sex.
pot. They're having sex. Elijah Wood is the epitome of steal yo girl.
He's literally plagiarizing his relationship and
Yeah, yeah. Mark Ruffalo's character was like, yo, that's messed up, and then he was like, yo, but I steal her panties though. It's like, okay, what? Like, you can't do
Hate that
that.
guy. So
Oh yeah, Elijah
like
was a
so
little
Lacuna
jerk.
is the name of the company that does the memory
Lacuna,
erasing.
Lacuna, yeah.
So is that
Lacuna Matata.
is it debatable? Is this not just a really immoral business practice, right? Or
Oh,
do you,
it's horribly, yeah, it's horribly immoral. But
like
it's very, I
it's
mean,
interesting that Mary Kirsten Dunst's character is like in the beginning is admiring Howard and his work that he does. It
yeah,
allows people to have a clean start.
yeah,
But then by the end, she's convinced, otherwise, obviously, through their whole.
yeah. I thought it was that was really great. Because so even though the focus is really on the whole Jim Carrey, what's his name in the film? Sorry, I'm
Joel.
always terrible at this. So Joel and Clementine, their relationship is the primary focus of the film. But like, I think it's fascinating to me that like even though you hate you hate the people that are like screwing everything up, but like all the stuff that's happening with them is just absolutely very fascinating too. It all sort of piles on this theme of regret and the nature of romantic relationships and um all the stuff just like get out play out to out to pasture. I think that's not a good thing. I don't know, I'm mixing
Yeah.
my metaphors, but regardless, there's just there's so much
So yeah, Mary. It's just amazing. I don't know how you would like really. I guess I'm not in the world where this exists, but I just can't put myself in the mindset that I would be admiring this work as if like, because what really is the good of doing this? I feel like it's
right.
again
I mean,
against very human nature to like want to give people this because it's like manipulating emotions. He's talking about how we get a lot of business on Valentine's Day. It's a
yeah,
busy time
yeah,
for us, you
yeah, it's
know.
like
And
so
I'm sure these aren't the first ones to have like to show that there's regret there. I'm sure
yeah,
they've seen in the past how it affects people. You
yeah.
know.
I think it's. I mean, I think a lot of it, the concept to me that I find relatable is that I think. I mean, I feel like everybody who's been in part of a bad breakup has felt like a gut reaction to be like, I wish I'd never met you. I wish I could just take all these memories away and just like forget any of this ever happened because it's too painful to. Um, Ignorance is bliss. Not knowing about painful memory, because it's like the happy memories in initially get tainted too. Everything gets tainted when you're angry and when you're upset and when it's like your whole world's crumbling, which is him basically after the introduction, basically him at the beginning of the movie. It's his entire world's crumbling down, and then it's fascinating because like while he's like forcibly allowing his world to be taken down, he realizes that it's like, no, wait, I don't want that. I don't want that. And I think to me, having been through a terrible breakup, I think that like I definitely felt that way for a long time. At the same time, it's like there's still things that I regret, and there's still some things that I wish had been better and I wish had worked out better. But it's like you can't just the memories of that are so important because they form who you are. You can't just you can't just ignore that past. And it's
Mm-hmm.
it's that hurt is important.
Because where
That
does
is
it stop? Where does it stop if it's like if you want to take out a specific person, it's like okay, now let me take out the specific. If they give you the ability to take out specific memories instead of just taking out all the bad memories.
Yeah, it's a horrifying technology, and I'm glad it doesn't exist. I mean, it is funny towards the beginning, like darkly humorous towards the beginning of the film when he's like he's got these bags of things that remind her of her, and then he's like he looks over at this man who's like literally just has like one baseball trophy, and you're like, oh, like what is that? That's kind of like whatever that's all about.
And a woman's got all their dog stuff.
Her dog stuff, yeah. So
it's wild technology,
yeah.
not is very immoral. Like the whole not only the business itself, but how they ran the whole thing is
Oh
immoral.
yeah,
Like they're
whereas
just taking beer from his fridge. They're just like laying on top of him,
yeah, and then
doing
having
whatever they want. His
sex
own
in his
apartment.
bedroom. What the heck? That would see okay. That
So
would just be so
sloppy.
awkward.
Yeah.
Like he's like, yeah, he's asleep. He's never gonna wake up. But then of course he starts waking up partway through, not partway through the sex, but partway through the procedure. He starts becoming lucid, and he starts figuring out like I need to stop this. So we need to hide somewhere where where the memories of you aren't. And if I can hide
Yeah.
you there, then I'll be able to hang on to some of you somewhere.
So then you have the whole baby Jolie scene where he's
Which
like,
was
it's really
that
weird.
was wild. That felt very like old Jim Carrey in there, you know? Like there was a weird
Yeah.
like him being like a man
There's
child
a man child, and then there's like,
in the bathtub in the sink, having a bath in the sink.
yeah.
It's amazing that he still has that. I guess your latent memories, you might have that somewhere way far back in the recesses of your mind,
Yeah.
but
But you get like little hints of Jim Carrey here or there. Like when he
yeah.
first starts like seeing himself in the doctor's office, and he
Hmm.
starts flipping out a little bit.
He starts doing he starts
Little
doing a little
Jim
bit of
Carrey mannerism things.
the double
But
takes and stuff, yeah.
but overall, it's like really, it's a departure from the norm for Jim Carrey, and it's also at the time was definitely a departure for Kate Winslet as well. It's like
Yeah.
this was definitely a new kind of role for her, and I think she does really well.
Yeah, I thought it was great. She's not like the I mean, this isn't Titanic Kate Winslet. It's a very
Yeah.
she feels almost like Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Mm.
You know, like you think like Ramona from Scott Pilgrim is very similar to that kind of character in a way.
Yeah.
Where
Like
she
the
just
offbeat, the
yeah,
colorful hair, kind of.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I really love both the main characters too. Like, I relate to Joel a lot. Like,
yeah.
I'm not as shy as I used to be, but I definitely can relate to that kind of stuff.
To the shy, yeah.
And
The shy sort of introverted with new people. I definitely still can kind of sometimes be like that, but
yeah, and then like Clementine is like much more extroverted, but she's still like awkward and has her own eccentricities and
yeah,
things like that, like little quirks. Like
yeah.
I really just the whole initial what we thought was their first meeting, the one on the train. I really
Yeah.
love that scene. I think it's really good. Their whole awkward dialogue.
So another thing that's amazing about that. So here's something we haven't quite talked about. The filmmaking of this movie is like stupendous. It was something I was noticing just earlier on in the film, like the first part of that first prologue of the film, where things would just like it's very sudden, quick cuts. So like it's almost like a new conversation's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it's already basically preparing you for like this person's fractured. He's not really all there. So it's like I'd almost wondered at that point, as like, is this like a like is he re-meeting her somehow, or like I wasn't I guess I didn't quite think that, like it was like, oh, he's re-meeting her, like they both wiped their memory. Like I didn't realize that. I thought it was something totally different where he kind of knew he actually knew who she was, and or something. I wasn't really totally sure what was going on, and you're not really supposed to.
Yeah, it's a nice touch though. They definitely do stuff like that with editing,
But
for
the
sure.
editing
Where
is
it's like
amazing.
you can tell it's not all linear. There's something there.
Yeah, it cuts like quickly in that prologue. There's a very quick cuts, and it's like, oh, you're in a new scene now. And, oh, you're in a new scene now. And you don't really get a chance to take a breath.
And time progression is a little weird, because it's like there's like a little.
Sometimes it's a cut, and it only jumps ahead to like the next sentence in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's so great.
So
I love it.
It's really effective because you don't really know how many times they've gone through this by the end of it.
Yeah,
I don't think you know for sure, but it seems they've
it sort of implies
a couple times.
It sort of implies that. Yeah, it doesn't. It kind of does because the final shots of the film are like them doing the same thing on the beach, like 3 different times, and then it like implies that it keeps going as it fades to white.
And like on the beach is where they actually first met.
Yeah,
but they present it as if the train is the first meeting, and they're all like really cool little. They're like they feel genuine because they are, to them, first meetings. So it's really cool. There's some really nice like bits of dialogue and clever lines that really stand out.
Well, I really like the whole interaction with Mary and then Doctor uh,
Howard.
Howard. But I like that whole interaction where it was like all of a sudden when she started acting like very familiar with him, I was like, oh, I almost wonder if like has something happened with here before? And then sure enough, she had voluntarily had her memory altered because she had an affair with him, which is like I don't even know why his wife would still stick around. It's like, oh, don't worry, honey, she's gonna get her memory wiped. We can still. It was just a one-time thing. And then yeah, and then when he said that, it was like, yeah, I've heard. She was basically like, yeah, I've heard that before. You can keep him. So then his wife is like drives off. Even though Mark Ruffalo's character was horribly irresponsible, I felt like he did get the raw end of the deal in that relationship. Because it's
Right.
just like
Well,
he just had no idea what was going on, and then it's just like, oh well.
we don't know exactly what he knew, I guess. Like,
Yeah, I guess that's just true. He
but
seems he seems genuinely that he didn't know, but
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it's suspicious.
But I'm
But yeah,
just
but Elijah Wood is a despicable, horrible person in this. He's just a monster.
I just love. Also, the music is really interesting. There's like,
Yeah,
tell me if you agree, but almost like when he, like the moment with Elijah Wood with what's his name, Patrick,
Patrick.
and
Yeah,
when he
that's
tried to recreate the whole thing on the ice where he said the same line and stuff,
yeah,
and then the music got real funky. It actually reminded me of Hateful Eight. Like it was like
yeah.
it,
It was
it could
yeah.
almost
It
you
had
could
a
almost
similar
take
sort of
that
thing.
track
Yeah,
from Hateful Eight and it would have worked there with the same style.
yeah.
It's like a little goofy,
It
break
was
from the serious tone.
yeah. It was yeah, the soundtrack is very fascinating because it's very underplayed. I feel like there's probably something interesting they did with the like motifs. I would guess. Just based on like how distinct it all sounded. There's probably something that they did like in a way to make it like I don't know. I bet like some themes like played backwards or something like that. They probably did some weird stuff with that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I'll have to look into that. But it was yeah. It's not something I was like, wow, what great music. But I was like, this is like I couldn't imagine any other music in the fit this scene kind of thing. Like once it's there, it's just like it fits perfectly. Even though it's sometimes very weird or strange, you would still
yeah.
somehow works. So
There's just
um
some really cool scenes. Like one of my favorite scenes is the beginning one in the train, but then one of my
mhm.
favorite scenes is also the final scene in the hallway. There, I think that's really effective. It's the follow up to them hearing the tapes, which Mary sends out to everybody of them like telling their memories why they're erasing this person,
Yeah.
and that's really cool how they go in and they're just hearing them rattle off all the things they hate about each other.
Yeah.
But then you go into the hallway and it's just like it was
It's
such a
super it's
simple
so
interaction, but it's so effective.
it's but it's so raw and real. Like it's yeah, there's just so much there.
She's like, "You'll find things
Be-
you don't like about me, and I'll get bored with you because that's what happens with me." And then and then Jim Carrey or Joel just shrugs. He's like, "Okay,
yeah, okay.
okay,
We'll do it again.
let's do this again." And it's like
And
there's
it's
certain
like
beauty to that.
yeah, cuz like that I think goes back to the whole thing with the whole regret and memory. It's like, well, they don't have any memories of that anymore, but they would still rather have the they realize that it's more important to have that memory and that pain than it is to pretend it never happened because it did happen.
Yeah.
Um,
And all they know
and
is good things. Like
yeah,
they're in the optimistic part of the relationship, but they were looking forward
right,
to it. So it's like, well, we didn't experience that, so
yeah.
can't hurt can't hurt to
Give it
try.
give it a shot again. Yeah,
But she had a lot of lines where she's always it was like a repeat of the line in the beginning. I'm not a concept, Joel.
yeah.
I'm just a fucked up girl looking for my own peace of mind.
Hmm.
You know, and I just think the characters are really both of them are relatable in their own ways.
Yeah,
I obviously relate more to Joel, but they're just like you really find yourself even though they like swipe they throw you right into the relationship really quickly. Like the first
hmm.
scene you see is them like their supposed first meeting, and then but you just like instantly I at least
They
like I care about the relationship already. It's like
yeah, I
yeah,
know.
I
They
good
instantly like
chemistry.
they do. They instantly kind of he has sort of this awkward, shy, but he's still like, clearly really enjoys spending, that she talks to him and that she's, he tries to compliment her and then she takes it the wrong way. And then it's like, oh, well, but then she's like, but actually, I actually really like the fact that you were doing that. And yeah, it's a very sweet sort of first interaction. It kind of reminded me that one of my brother's friends, if memory serves, his wife, he met on a train, and the whole reason he started talking to her was because he was correcting mistakes that she had made on her crossword puzzle. And there you go. I don't think she liked that very much, but there you go. Sometimes that's all you need, just
you
correct somebody.
Nosy. How are you? You correct
if you're packed in on a train, if it's a busy train, you're packed in on a train, you just glance over, you see someone's working on a crossword puzzle.
Intently at that thing.
I mean, he was probably pretty interested in her, already. There's always that initial attraction. That was the whole thing with this too. Like, he was, very drawn to her, and he even says like falling in love with the girl that I just met, like.
Yeah, why do I fall in love with every woman I see who gives me the least bit of attention?
Yeah.
And that's a night, like, his tone of voice in like the beginning. It's like it's very breathy. Why do I fall in love with every woman?
Yeah, why do I? Yeah, it is very like. Oh,
It's like he narrates the beginning. I think it's pretty cool. It was Valentine's Day coming into it. And they do nice little details here and there to tie things together, like the dent in the car in the beginning. And
they
show it at the end because that's when it actually took place. Is after he wiped his memory also.
Yeah, so he didn't have any memory of that ever happening because she was associated with it. So, yeah, it's
there's just like
really good movie.
The concept is really impactful, and I love the relationship and just imagining like someone you love. Just like reading that thing that says they wiped you from their memory, that's like the biggest.
That's like, wow, okay, cool, thanks.
It's like the worst thing you can do. It's like, yeah, she was impulsive, but like, just wipe me from your memory like that.
That's pretty rough. That's real bad. Yeah.
So then, like, I can get from his perspective why he would want to do it then, but. That's tough. Like, because that's not something you can get over, It's like, this person wiped me from their memory. Like, you can't just undo
that's horrible, yeah.
And you can't fix that. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Huckleberry Hound thing. They did that nice little callback, too.
Yeah, where she was the one saying that to him, and he was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
So... It must have had something to do with him wiping his memory because it was related to Clementine.
Because he associated those things with her, even upon first meeting and knowing her name, those things are effectively wiped from his memory because he associated those things with her.
Because then you see it in the later memory thing that he's like, oh, that's what my mom always used to sing that to me,
Yeah.
So it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, anything else?
No, I mean, I think it's a very extremely well written film. Like, oh my gosh, the writing is amazing. Like we've quoted some of it, but like, just the way it plays out, there's clearly just a very well crafted, well executed screenplay. The editing is phenomenal. The acting is like, it's not over the top. It's very understated, but it's like perfect for this kind of movie. And it's excellent. Like these are like, yeah.
And it's interesting because it is like a sci-fi movie by definition because it's like futuristic technology, but it's like the most subtle thing because everything else, there's nothing like futuristic about the world otherwise.
Yeah, there's psychological horror elements too, like that really creepy scene where he like is remembering being at the doctor's office and then he sees like he sees Mark Ruffalo where he's like upside down. And I was like, I remember when I was watching, I was like, oh, what is going on? What is that? It's like because it's all messed up because his memories are all kind of like interspersing. So yeah.
Okay, so one last thing: is there any situation you could imagine this kind of technology being justified for, to where it would be a beneficial thing, like maybe like a rape victim thing?
Yeah, I mean, that could arguably be the case. The only problem the only problem with, I mean, it would be good that they would be able to wipe that memory away, but at the same time, it's like,
It's like
I mean,
your
having
bad
not
your
ever
bad
experienced,
memories define you, but I mean those
yeah,
that's an
but
extreme
it's
that I
like
could see,
yeah, no, I mean, I think that would be something, or like,
like the
I mean,
traumatic thing.
so like in, I mean, like in Dungeons and Dragons, there's a spell called Modify Memory, and it allows you to alter somebody's memories about an event or about something that happened. I can't remember all the limitations of the spell, but like it's it could be potentially very, useful in some scenarios. Say your party messed up talking to some guy, maybe that's like there's a scenario where it's like, oh, we probably told him way more information than we should have.
Hmm.
And then they're like, okay, well, let's go back and like just change his memory a little bit, and then he'll be all right. He'll be all good. He just doesn't remember that conversation. But the problem with that is that then becomes used for frivolous things such as that.
Yeah, that's not a good use of it.
It's not a good
That's
use.
weaponizing. You start to weaponize that
You start to
technology.
weaponize it. Yeah, it's a problem. I mean, that's basically what it got used for in this.
It's
Practically.
because like they must have they had to keep going back to Lacuna to do this. So like they know they
Yeah,
had this person wipe their memory however many times of the same person, and they just keep doing it. I don't know how
yeah,
Mary didn't see earlier that this is just an immoral thing to do. It
yeah.
had to be
Yeah, they
herself
talked.
affected by it,
Yeah, they have talked about how people have come back multiple times. So
and like at
yeah,
least these two did.
yeah,
All right. So,
yeah. So
what would you rate this film out of 10?
I mean, this is like a 9.5. This is an amazing film.
Wow.
Like I was really, I yeah, I don't know, like not, it's like a 9.5. I thought it was excellent.
What's it gonna
Um,
be?
what's it gonna be? I can't go in the half. I can't go at 9.25, which
Maybe
is
that
like
can
what
be a
I
revision
want to
to
do.
our
Maybe
Tarqaron Constitution for the new year. We can invoke 2.25s.
rather than a 20-point system, it's now a 40-point system.
Each year we'll keep
Maybe.
having them, and then you can do point.
I give this a 3.7456. It wasn't very good, but
We're in phase 5 of Tarqaron, so I'm allowed to do that. Year 5.
Year
Point.
5.
We're allowed to go 4 decimals deep. Because you gave Hateful 8 and 9, right?
I did.
Is this on the same level or is it a notch above?
Mm. Well, I think in terms of like actual meaning and like actual like concepts and themes, I think this theme's a little bit more relevant or like important, I would say. Like in terms of an importance of what a movie is trying to say, I think it's definitely above Hateful Eight. I don't know if I would necessarily say it's as, because the thing with Hateful Eight is it was literally everything that was significant about the film was done by Tarantino. So he did the writing and the directing, and then his DP was awesome too, which is, I think, the DP he uses on most of his films. And so it's understanding that, and this film was written by a couple different people, although I think it was primarily by I don't remember the name exactly. I think he won the Oscar for best original screenplay, which he totally deserves. It's hard to say. They're very different movies. I think I'm gonna settle on a 9. I don't want to, like, I do love this film. I almost want to give it a 9.5, but I don't want to like say that and be like, that's what it is, and then change my mind later. But I do think this movie bears repeat viewing. I think you probably can pick up on more things the more you watch it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
See, I would say
two thumbs up.
this is like one of my favorite movies for sure.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean that it's like that it should be a higher score. That's hard to say, because
yeah,
I think I'll give it a 9 as well.
yeah.
But it's like I could see, I gave like Silence of the Lambs, I think 9.5 maybe. But like
Maybe I don't
so
remember.
like I could say that's a better movie, but I would still put this like above it in my favorite movies. It's just
Yeah,
it's a different
yeah.
thing.
Your
This
preference.
movie
Yeah,
is
your.
like personally just resonates more with me, I guess,
Hmm.
and it's one I just really appreciate. But there's still
Yeah, like I really like the movie for example, a movie Secondhand Lions. I'm a very big fan of that film. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I won't say anything more about it because maybe I'll save that one for next year.
Next year.
Um, but like, yeah, there are movies that I like that I would probably, if I had to look at them critically, I'd probably give them a lower score. But like, they're still very personally, they resonate with me, and there
Mm-hmm.
are things that I really like, even if they're not like perfect on certain aspects. Maybe they're a little cliched or what have you. But you know what? Sometimes I like that.
Yeah.
So
So it's gonna be Tarqaron score 9 out of 10. I love
yeah,
this movie.
it's
I'll hold it
excellent.
near
I
and
think
dear.
I think I'm glad I've seen it. I feel there is an air of melancholy about it, but it's like one of those things that's like, what, this is I felt good. I felt better coming out of it, even though it's like
Yeah,
not necessarily a happy ending.
do you
But
think? What do you think of the ending? Is it a happy or what kind of ending is it? Because
so I
they're
mean,
going to give it
it
a
is
try
open.
again, but are we
It
to
is open.
assume it'll just loop again and we'll be back into this?
So
Like,
it is open ended purposefully, because but I think it is open to interpretation because now they're at a point where they've accepted the fact that they already know that that's a potential outcome, but they're still willing to take that risk anyways. Arguably, they've had that done before. I don't know if I would necessarily buy that,
yeah, I don't.
but
That's a good point. So there
um,
might be more hope in this relationship than in the other
but now
ones.
they've come to that acceptance about themselves. It's like they accept the hurt that they can give to each other, and I think, not to go too much into more detail, but like I think that's the important thing that about relationships that's so important is that like you are going to piss each other off. You're gonna hurt each other, sometimes really bad, and it sucks and it's horrible. But like, there's a lot more to relationship than just an initial feeling of hurt and sadness. Like what was really wrong in their relationship? It's hard to say because we only got smatterings of his perspective, and we got a little bit of her perspective in certain periods of time. So it's an interesting film to sort of analyze in terms of how modern relationships work, really. And that's why I think it's a good film to continue to watch, I think.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I
yeah.
think it is a positive ending in that regard. Because
Yeah.
yeah, now they know that they have wiped their memories before, so you're less
Yeah.
likely to do that again. I mean, because you don't know the regret that came with it. They don't know that
Hmm.
part,
Yeah.
but like
They know that
I think
potent
it's different knowing like what,
right.
because the climate. I'm assuming it almost always comes down to Clem being impulsive is what sparks it. Like maybe there's times where he does it first. We don't know, but
Mm.
I'm assuming it's always down to her impulsivity. So maybe her knowing it ahead of time, you can take precautions against it, and not
Mm.
be so rash. Because did we see all that Mary said in that letter? I'm assuming she. Yeah,
I think
we
it
did
seemed like
see
a pretty,
read
yeah, it
it.
did. Yeah, it was a pretty short letter. It was basically just like, yeah, this is what happened to you. Here's the tape that you recorded before you underwent the procedure. So
But like she was saying, it was effed up. Like
yeah, no,
it's
it's
not
terrible.
like
It's horrible. Like really, ultimately.
look at this great thing you did. You wiped your
Yeah.
memory.
Well,
It's
yeah. I mean, that was the whole thing. She didn't just clean out her spot. She literally cleaned out the entire department, like the whole
yeah.
office
So
of tapes.
what happens to Lacuna from there? It's so
Oh,
weird.
I would imagine it'd get defunded. That the government would probably be like, well, your whole operation's gone up in smoke.
It's a weird business. Like how do you promote it?
How is
Because
he? How is he accredited?
how do you
How did he get his? How did he pass the bar?
no, not even
How
that.
did
I
he?
mean
How
like
did he
because you can't have happy customers go and tell other people because they don't know that they did it. That's the whole point, right? So you can't.
They probably put some
Joel's not
want
like,
ads
hey,
in somewhere. Yeah,
I recommend Lacuna. It was great, great
yeah, because
service
like
for
he
me.
didn't even know it was like a
They,
thing.
they don't like all the
Yeah.
customers don't know that they ever used it. It's weird. Uh,
But they send letters out to people who are associated with them
right.
still.
Yeah, which is also weird.
Because
Like
Joel's friends got letters that said that Clementine's been erased from Clementine's memory.
it's really not a fine tune. Like it's very immoral, but also they just did not have everything in place. Like you have to send letters to all these people and just hope that they don't tell
Tell
them
them.
about this.
Yeah, yeah.
You'd be like,
Yeah.
hey, just don't tell them, okay?
Just
Don't ever mention the relationship
just
again.
don't mention. Yeah, it's like that's what? How is that ever gonna happen?
And like
Especially when he's
you
talking
can
about
see
it,
the
you know?
like how easily it can leak into stuff too, because the guy was like, "Hey, Clem, what's going on?" When she was at the
Yeah,
apartment, and she was
because
like,
that guy never got a letter.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all it takes is like one person just talking to you, like, "Oh, how's Joel? What's going on?"
Yeah, like if
Guy.
they ran into her at Barnes and Noble or whatever, and they showed up and hey, yeah, I didn't realize you worked here, and it was like, who are you?
It's like
It's me from the apartment building, you
it's
know.
like a
So
disaster waiting to happen. I can't
yeah,
imagine many relationships like just cleanly that working when you
yeah,
erase their memory and then just everybody cooperates, friends and family. They're very tight-lipped about it. I can't
yeah.
imagine, but. All right, that's it. If you were to recommend a video for viewers to watch after this one, what would you recommend?
Go watch our review of go watch a review of Silence of the Lambs.
Sounds of the Lambs.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah. It's not really about memory, but yeah,
that's it. Subscribe
that's
to the
it.
channel, subscribe to our podcast feed, like the video, leave a comment, push the notification bell, and follow us on Twitter at Tarqaron, TWO right here.
Yeah, it's on his hat.
Yeah.